pipeline.
Joseph Elliott Prune. Of course I'm going.
Here's host, the Slayer of Evil, Franchise TV.
Alright, the past 2 to 3 years, these big studios in Hollywood have been releasing vampire films starring some of the kookiest versions of the legendary vampire Count Dracula. Since 2022, we had The Invitation, some romantic goth-like film set in modern times that sent me to the Shadow Realm. Barf. In 2023, we had Renfield, focusing more on Dracula's longtime servant, Renfield, and the comedic approach, and Nicolas Cage was Dracula.
Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah!
It tried, but it didn't hit the mark for some, and Universal tried to sell this film, in their own words, as a quasi-sequel to Universal's own, famed, legendary 1931 Dracula.
Try today.
Then Universal tried again in the summer of 2020 with the voice of the last Demeter. Instead of handsome Dracula or some more human appearance of Dracula, we get the grotesque, monstrous version, stalking sailors on a ship. An excerpt from the fabled chapter in Bram Stoker's 1987. Did I say 1987? 1887 novel, Dracula. It has its moments of fear, but I barely... You know what? I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna split it to you to the truth. I barely remember this film. I remember it was a thing. 2 months after it was released in theaters. What does that tell you? It wasn't a really memorable movie. But moving on. Then last spring, we had another Universal release. There's a common denominator here with these Dracula films, if you haven't realized it by now. They've all been Universal. Universal released Abigail, a remake of sorts inspired by the 1936 horror film Dracula's Daughter. Abigail, similar to Renfield, was in a comedic approach somewhat, but a better focus in well-written horror comedy that focused on the daughter of Dracula that was not named. They gave Dracula a different name in this film. Movie wasn't that bad. And then towards the end of 2024, almost the beginning of this year, Focus Features, a division of Universal Pictures, once again, Universal's behind the scenes on this one, released on Christmas Day, the Nosferatu, a remake of the 1922 German silent film of the same name. Out of all these Dracula films in the last few years, this one I enjoyed probably the most. It wasn't a comedy in modern times, like 2 out of the 3 I mentioned. No, 3 out of the 4 I just mentioned. Make sure I count that right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 films. 3 or 4 in modern times. I got that right. See, I know how to count still. It was dark. This movie was dark. I liked the beautiful Gothic cinematography, the darkness. It was perfect to a T. I can tell the director probably had a good time writing and directing this film. From what I heard, it sounds like he did. He wanted to get this right. He wanted to do this the right way. And it was a film that he always wanted to do. And of course, there's no wokeness. I don't know why we have to say that, but we know how these movies are these days. It was a film that stuck to the script and honored not just the original 1922 Nosferatu, but honored Bram Stoker and his novel. Count Orlok was given a rather dashing mustache for whatever reasons, to make him more human, I guess. But to me, he really wasn't scary, because I think they wanted to humanize him just a little bit and more of a romance type of thing. But I will say this, he wasn't posing and threatening to the protagonist. You almost feel that he can get away with what he wants to do. And I will say this, Bill Skarsgård has the villain roles down to a T. Like absolutely down to a T. I'm starting to wonder though, if he's getting typecasted or he just loves being the villain. I'm saying he loves being the villain. Because the last few movies I've seen, he's been the villain. John Wick 4, he was the villain. This film, he was the villain. It too, I just saw recently, he was the villain. But anyways, you know, Willem Dafoe is just going to be William Dafoe, entertaining in his role as Timu Van Helsing. Yeah, I said I call him Timu Van Helsing. Dafoe also played Count Orlok / Max Schreck in The Shadow of a Vampire back in 2000. And Nicholas Hoult was in Renfield as Renfield almost 2 years ago, just to add. And this is I think this might be my first film starring Lily Rose. As we all know, that's Johnny Depp's daughter. And to me, she did not do bad of a job. She actually stole the show. I think she made this movie as well. And there's also a lot of frontal female bareness in this film.
Lord have mercy. We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused.
And I can't help that half the cast that has been in an MCU or Marvel-related movie in the last few years, I don't know why that stood out to me. We all know Dafoe as Green Goblin, probably one of his best roles. Aaron Taylor Johnson as Quicksilver. And we want to put Kraven the Hunter out of the memory. Well, the film out of memory. Kraven is a great Spider-Man villain, and I knew these studios would just muck it up somehow, and they did it. Emma Corrin, I think that's how you pronounce her name, was just in Deadpool and Wolverine as Cassandra Nova. And I had to say this, she does have some remarkable eyes. Just saying, no simping. And Bill Skarsgård did voice Kroll in that damn garbage film Internals a couple years back. As we all know, Nicholas Hoult was the young beast in the X-Men prequels, and Timu Dr. Seward, aka Ralph Ensign, will be Galactus in the upcoming Fantastic Four film in the MCU. I'm sure Disney will find a way to butcher that. I just know it. I just feel it in my bones that's gonna happen. But we ain't gonna talk about that. And I know Bill Skarsgård and Aaron Taylor Johnson had to regroup after the terrible film The Crow and Kraven. Absolute barn fires. But back to Nosferatu. Go see this film if you like Gothic horror films with female frontal bareness, a hideous vampire that wants female human loving, darkness, Quicksilver, I guess, foreign countries. Go see this film. And also, does anybody know the name of the woman? If you've seen this movie, if you know the name of that woman that was riding that horse early in the film, I want to know so I can do for research purposes, you know, research purposes. That's why. But anyways, go see this film. I'm out. Goodbye.
The pipeline. Joseph Elliott Prune.